Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Let me know up front if you can hear and see me okay. This is sort of my, I guess, beta test to make sure that everything in the new setup is working. So go ahead and let me know. Obviously, this is still a work in progress. It was just last night that we got everything set up and got internet ready. So I would love to have some feedback just to make sure that everything is working. Let me pull the chat up here so I can see all you awesome people. And go ahead and type something in the chat, so just so I know stuff's working. That would be really nice and helpful for me. Now, today, essentially, I wanted to kind of introduce an idea that I want to do going forward, and that is simply just taking a look at the daily news from Games Workshop and just having a good chat about it, right? Let me just make sure here everything's on my end is working, that people can find the video. Let's see. Usually by now I have at least somebody say something in the chat. So I'm like, okay. No, okay. Seems to be working. All right, there it goes. Now the chat sprung to life. Boom. There we go. Sweet. I don't know why there was such a weird delay and then like 8 of y'all popped in at once. So we're good. We're good. Thank you so much. Okay. So essentially what I wanted to start doing is just doing these small little videos at least almost once a day. Just to cover stuff that's in the news and chat about things I'm excited for and things I'm looking forward to. So this is going to be no different. And unfortunately, so this whole last week, if you haven't followed me online or anything like that, I made a move from Seattle, Washington to pretty much center Iowa, which if you're not in the U.S., it's about halfway across America. And so had some weird experiences and some fun ones as well. But more importantly and relevantly, I missed my opportunity to kind of really chat about all the stuff that's coming out with Broken Realms Morathi, which is a new campaign supplement that's coming out for Age of Sigmar. And so I'm super excited about it. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So just to give you all a heads up, Games Workshop was kind enough to send me a copy, but I cannot chat about it right now. Not until Saturday, which I will have a video up for you. But I'm going to talk about the things that they have shared and kind of give me some context for them. And so we're going to talk about it, talk about things that are exciting coming down the pipeline. Truth be told, Broken Realms as a whole seems like a way, if you're familiar with Psychic Awakening, which is like a supplement system that they did for 40K before the current edition that just dropped. It was just ways of implementing rules and ideas into the game that followed a narrative arc as well. And so you would get like a cool story with a campaign and then supplementary rules for all different kinds of factions. Some were good and full of value, some were not so good and kind of fell flat otherwise. But everybody got something, and that's kind of a cool thing. I'm sure if we had what am I trying to think of, like a lot big events, like Nova and that kind of stuff, they would have previewed it in pretty much the same way, where they had the big bulletin board of all the faction symbols and we're like, everybody's getting something. So what we're gonna do is hop on over. Yep. Okay, sorry about that messy shared screen here. And yeah, so we're over here on the GW page. Let me just get set up because I was kind of in a rush right before I went live. A maintenance guy was like, hey, I'm here to inspect your vents. And it's just like, okay, cool, timing. That's just awesome. Okay. If I lived in Seattle, I'd move too. Oh man, can I watch this tomorrow? Yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome to. Let's see, very much looking forward to this. Just started my first AOS army, is KO, and now we have Bugmanson. Yeah, we'll talk about him. So Sunday preview. I'm just gonna kind of walk through the things that frankly I was frustrated with when I was traveling, because I was like, I want to talk about this, but obviously my camera and computer were all packed up. So yeah, so let's start going through this. Obviously we have Broken Realms Saga is set to encompass the entirety of Age of Sigmar, changing the status quo for every faction. Now keep in mind, Broken Realms is it's like a series name, and Morathi is the specific book. Okay, so there's going to be a Broken Realms blank, Broken Realms X, that kind of stuff. Essentially, the story that they've presented to us here is that Morathi is making a true play for godhood. And this is something I really do like. Match the window. Oh, thank you, Reamer. I'll check that out. And Jamie, we're going to get to that, I promise. I have all those news things pulled up. So essentially, in this book, and like I said, they send it to me. I'm not going to go into any details. I'm just going to provide a little bit of context, okay? Because I think, frankly, these articles could have been written just a smidge better. But the story that this goes through follows 4 characters, okay, or 4 factions specifically, and these are denoted by these box sets that are coming out. You have King Sithis Nimitar, who is sort of like a champion right below, oh my gosh, what's his name? Whatever the named rider, Volturnus, that's his name. You have Drusa Kraith, who is a sorceress on Black Dragon. Kaiser Van Brecht, who was probably the most old-worldly name ever, and I love it. They're part of the, let's see, not the Hammers of Sigmar, the ones with the black armor. Why can't I think of their name? I've been all over the place lately. And then the one that I'm most excited for, Rakor Gresh. Now, this dude is baller. We'll talk about some of this stuff here pretty soon, the next couple days, but I like him. So, and it also introduces us to Shadow and Pain, which is the new 2-player set coming out. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't personally have a ton of interest in Daughters of Cain or Slaanesh. The models are all gorgeous. These are incredible sculpts. Obviously, the Daughters of Cain stuff is all newer, right? Because you have all the Snake Ladies and the Kinerai and the Melusai, all that stuff. Very cool. And of course, you have the older sculpts for all the Slaanesh stuff, but they do give you the new super crazy hero lord down here. And so I like it. Anvils of Heldenhammer. Thank you, Jerome and Jamie. It's a cool set if you're interested. Here's the thing with all of these 2-player sets, and I always say the same thing. If they're factions that you're interested in, then they're always the best deal possible. If you're interested in literally anything else, you're better off getting a Start Collecting box. And so that's kind of how I explain that to people, because a lot of times when you see 2-player starter sets, like, oh, this is how everybody gets into the game. It's like, nah, not really. Just if you like those armies. So I do like them. I can tell you that Melusai and Kinerai are pretty cool in the new book coming out. That's all I'm going to give you. Has a heavy emphasis on them. So next up is, for decades, the name Bugman has struck a chord with Warhammer fans. It's even immortalized in the bar at Warhammer World, and now the legacy of legendary Joseph Bugman continues in the form of this year's Christmas model, Jacob Bugmanson. I'm not good at reading Roman numerals. I believe that's the 6th. But the Brewmaster General, some say, descended from original. Okay, so they got a new character. He's a Kharadron Overlord's character, long descendant of Joseph Bugman, who is a character in the old world. People loved him. I don't know if he'll have special rules. I don't see anything that specifically says he does. I mean, when I do these winter models, like, I don't remember. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember, like, last year was the little, like, communist grot for Warhammer 40k orcs. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he will, but if not, he can absolutely sub in as a really cool alternate version of any of the leaders, right? Like, I would absolutely take this guy as an alchemist. If nothing else, any alchemist that I hire would absolutely. Oh, 11th. I'm sorry. I got my X and my V mixed up. Thank you all. But, he can absolutely... Any chemist that I would hire for my frigate crew would also be able to make beer, right? Like, let's be honest. Oh, man. So I like him quite a bit. The Red Gobbo got rules eventually. Oh, interesting. Okay. I did not know that. And then scrolling down, we have some new 40k models for Death Guard, which I don't know anything about. Their faction's kind of in a weird limbo spot right now. Excuse me, had to sneeze and did not want to blow out the microphone. And, guys and gals, we were waiting a long time for the revolutionary change to games as we know it, and we got it this time with playing cards with some Warhammer 40k art on the back. Jogi asks, if I get 2 Start Collecting boxes for AOS, will that be enough to play? Generally, the answer is yes, though it depends on the specific factions. So tell me which army you're looking at, and I will absolutely answer that for you. Then we got some cool stuff from Forge World. These are tiny little things for Aeronautica Imperialis. I believe Forge World is really transitioning into more of a supplement for their like boxed games rather than, you know, having their own full design studio and that kind of, I mean, I think they still have the design studio, but I mean like in terms of separate game systems. So yeah, let's see. That's some mighty sass. It's just one of those things, you know, I mean, they didn't make a big deal of it. It's not like, it's not on the same level as Blizzard being like, we're bringing Diablo to your cell phone. And everyone's just like, what? You know, they didn't make this the main event, but it's there. And then a bunch of Black Library books coming out. These are, let's see. Oh, the next, additions to like the novella series, but this one seems to be more focused on no, there's an Ossiarch Bone Reaper. I was going to say it's more 40k focused, but there's a Bone Reaper and a Necromunda book. So yeah, let's see. Covens of Blood, Heirs of Grimnir. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff coming out, and then there's the Advent calendar, which I kind of want to get this year. We will see. I'm going to go ahead and just end this here. I know that this article came out, 4 days ago, and you've all had a chance to read it. So do you have any thoughts or things you want me to chat about? Like I said, I'm just talking about stuff that I'm excited for, testing out the stream to make sure everything's working good. Let me look at the chat here. Man, I wanted these named characters in Broken Realms to be new models. I understand that totally. I can say that it does give you new spins on existing models, but of course there's nothing replaces a brand new sculpt. So I feel you. I really do. Let's see. Just off topic question. If there are any KO players out there, are Thundrix Profiteers any good in AOS army, or are they just good as a chemist? I've never heard of somebody being excited about them, so I don't know for sure. Hello from Russia. Hey, Max, how are you? What, you don't have phones? Yes, exactly. What, you guys don't have phones? If you guys have not seen that that speech when Blizzard announced it, there are a few things somehow salty yet sweet in the world. When you watch it, you just cringe. Anyway, what do you think is going to be in the new box sets? The new box sets. Oh, these box sets up here. Where are they at? These ones? I don't know, because like they didn't send me anything. My guess is this is going to be the Lord on Mermaid Horse, whatever you want to call them, and then 2 Alapexes. That's my guess, because it's 3 models. We can see the little thing there. My guess with her, it's going to be a witch on Black Dragon. The other stuff, I have no idea. I believe for this guy, Van Brecht, the Anvils of Heldenhammer bro, I believe it's him. And I'm going to throw out Castigators and something else, some ground troop. And then I believe for Rokor Gresh, the Slaves to Darkness dude, I believe it's going to be 3 chariot kits. Because if you didn't, there was another preview here somewhere that showed, it was before I moved, so I apologize. Oh, it's on the Broken Realms website. There we go. I'll go check that out here in a sec. I honestly, because I was traveling and we were going through like Utah and Wyoming, I did not have cell service a lot. So, yeah, we'll go through those here. But I will go ahead and move on to the next thing. So we got Rise of the Shadow Queen. They're really pumping this book up. They walk you through all kinds of stuff here. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not allowed to talk about anything in this book until Saturday, so I will not. What I will say is that the quality of this book is extraordinary. I was really excited. If you followed the Wrath of the Everchosen coverage that I did, where, you just take one story arc, and I broke it down into 5 videos, but there was so much cool, like there were so many cool scenes in there that just got me excited for stuff. You will find this book has the exact same. And I think it has some pros and cons, but overall, I think it's a fantastic book with some really cool additions to the game. So let's scroll down here. Love the artwork. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we'll go past this. And one thing, and I only wanted to touch on this because I didn't realize how connected everything was. So this article is about Warcry Catacombs, which is the new Warcry expansion that came out, where you're kind of playing in a dungeon and then you can flip the board over and have like a more traditional Warcry game. I love Warcry. I think it's awesome. It's one of my favorite games ever. And but what I didn't know is that Varinthax's Maw is the setting for Catacombs, but is also a super important aspect of the new Morathi book coming out. And so I wish they had made that tie a little bit more concrete for us to like really understand the significance of this place. But what I love about it is it ties the game of Warcry into AOS in a really interesting way. And I think that's awesome, because it's always been this thing where it's like you have the main story arc of AOS, and then like on the side is this Warcry thing where they're fighting in the 8 points, but it has no consequences, kind of a deal. Whereas in the Morathi book, it kind of like at least brings the stories together, right? Because even in Wrath of the Everchosen, they showed that there were some mobs of like, you know, Chaos cultists who would be, you know, the Iron Golems, all the Warcry warbrands for Chaos, you know, running and fighting, but the setting wasn't important. And I feel like they did a pretty good job now. Let's see. I already conquered Varinthax's Maw with my Iron Golems. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. I've got plenty to read. Yeah, you do. Should I start Warcry? Well, that's up to you, my friend. For me, I always suggest people start games where they have folks that they can play against. Is my always suggestion, but I really do enjoy it. And rather than just being like, how do I say this? Warcry Underground, you know what I mean? Where there's not really a setting. The Varinthax's Maw is actually a very detailed setting place, and we're going to do a lore video about it because it's got some really rad things going on. So be looking forward to that in the future. Now, we come to the new rules coming out with Broken Realms. And I'll just answer here. Jerome, do you prefer Warcry or Underworlds? I prefer Warcry because I'm not a huge fan of deck building games. Although I did a stream playing Underworlds, and I had fun. I think I got crushed, but I had fun. Yeah, and so that's all there is. I'm going to get better at it, but I do generally enjoy Warcry more. Let's see. I like how it's Shadow versus Flame, like Balrog ripping itself apart. Yeah. Totally calling it Warcry Underground from now on. Yeah. Let's see. So, Daughters of Cain. I'm not even going to... Zainthar Kai is the name of kind of like a new temple, essentially, is how they've described it here. I won't go too much into the rules because, quite frankly, I don't want to overshare and overstep my bounds because Games Workshop has been so kind to me. One thing I will tell you, I love the fact there's this city. So you have Anvilgard, which is supposed to be a very seedy, shady place and all that kind of stuff. But then there's this other city called Misthaven, and they just straight up like infuse drugs into their people to do better at stuff. And I'm for it. Like I don't, I don't know what Sigmar's DARE program is like and how it's going to handle this, but by golly, it's pretty cool. Let's see. Dark Temptations. Yep, there is a D6 chart for all kinds of stuff to get your guys boosts. And they're pretty cool, all of them. Some are much more useful than others, so. New community article is out. Oh, okay. I will pop open a separate window. And let me just take a quick look at what they just said. Let's see. Okay, well, I will not spoil that for anybody. You can go read it on your own. But thank you. For the Stormcast Eternals, Mortal Auxiliary. So this is an interesting one that's been not debated, but talked about quite a bit when it comes to the effectiveness of it. Essentially, so for Cities of Sigmar, you can bring in a Stormcast Eternal unit 1 in every 4, and all this does is flips that. So now you can bring a Cities of Sigmar unit 1 in every 4, and there's some differences for sure, but that's the core idea, right? Now these can really truly work together and intermingle when it comes to defending cities. This is not a spoiler. The events of the Necroquake and all that stuff for Soul Wars is still going on when this book starts. And so, like, the forces of order and chaos are just getting wrecked. And so, basically, at this point, it's just everybody, all hands on deck. Everybody fights with everybody. And that's really the explanation for having now mortal units fight with Stormcast rather than just being the other way around. So, yeah, no, it's cool. It's really cool. There was some debate about, like, what this means. Like, what would you want to bring from Cities of Sigmar? And I think there's a lot of game. I think there's a lot of options personally because Stormcast lack a lot of things in terms of just sheer body count. And even if you had, like, let's say you were being all cheesy with your games and you had that Stormcast list where it's all shooty all the time. Well, if you put a big old brick of gunners, handgunners in the dead center of the board and they don't have to move, well, that's what they do best, is staying still and shooting. So if you have them locking down the center, and then you can teleport the Stormcasts around all around them. That's my understanding of what I would do. So, yeah. I'm going to answer the questions in the chat here in 1 second. We're almost done with this article. Now, I haven't really read much about the Deepkin quite yet, although I will say I like that teal on the sharks. That's cool looking. I don't know why I just realized that. Add 1 to the hit rolls made for attacks with barbed hooks and blades by Alpex units from this battalion that are wholly within 12 inches of the Achelian King from the same battalion. So that's one thing I will share is that just because they shared it here, all those boxes that they had, they just represent battalions. This way you can just pick that up and instantly start playing a narrative game with them. So yeah, that's what I would say. Let's see, Slaves to Darkness. They get access to some new prayers, and one of which is the Khorne one. And it's interesting. So this is not going to be a huge shock to anybody, but one of the things about Slaves to Darkness that they've done pretty consistently, even from like the day the game first launched, was just they have a lot of ways to get the same thing. Okay, and by that I mean, the Khorne prayer is you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit. You pray for a unit and they get to do reroll hit rolls. Then there are about 5,000 ways to get that same ability on a unit. So there's a lot of redundancy in the army. And what this does is just, it sets up more opportunities for that, but essentially allows you to do those same things with very different kinds of lists. And so, yeah, that's what I would just say. Keep that in mind, and I'm going to skip past this because that was the spoiler article. I don't want to spoil anything for you. I'd much rather, I don't want to spoil it for you yet, but I will next week when my lore videos start, and I will ruin everything. There we go. Oops. Just dropped my lens cap. Okay. And this is the last thing I wanted to talk about here, and I'm going to pause before we dive into this article because it's not AOS related at all. It's just, pure Games Workshop IRL stuff. So let me hop over to the chat and take a look what we got here. Let's see. Yes, Jamie, 1,000 times yes. Yeah, Warcry's pretty great. Underworlds is purely competitive game for tournaments. That's not bad by any means, but not much merit to be had. And I tend to agree with that. When you talk about campaign play in terms of, models changing over the course of a game, that's just not really what Underworlds is about. And that's cool. It really is. There are ways you can do some things like adding new cards into your deck or having a side deck, whatever. But it's just not quite the same. But that doesn't mean it's any less fun. It's just different kinds of fun. So that's what I would say to that. And I will add that I that day after I did the live stream where I was trying to play Underworlds online, I had a great time, by the way. People were super helpful in the chat, especially Spezia. Shout out. But I started getting into some of the communities for Underworlds, and they were extremely helpful and very nice. Like when you hear like it's a competitive game, it's not a bunch of turds, all trying to crush each other. For some reason, Underworld, maybe because it's a smaller community, they're just really nice. I don't know. Everyone just wanted to help, so I'm just gonna throw that out there. Can I play AOS at games workshops? Probably, Jamie, right now, no, for the most part, just because of what's going on in the world with the lockdowns and various local restrictions and things like that. But typically, yes, you could. At least there was a time many moons ago where you could. Let's see. Dude, I just want Malarian and Shadow Elves so bad. Very, yeah. Misthaven is mentioned in the Olgu section of Soulbound. It is, yes. And dramatic events take place there. Thank you, Dreadnoughtless. Which actually I haven't seen your name in a while. Hi. Someone from Denmark will correct your Misthaven pronunciation of the A with the circle on top. I have no idea. What would that even be with the little circle on top? You say it's someone from Denmark? I just imagine like Misthaven. Okay. Hey Doug, do you think you will have a faction of destruction that is not connected to orcs, ogres, goblins, that kind of thing? Douglas, I know you're a handsome person just based on your first name, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. I hope so. I really do hope so. I hope that we have, honestly, what I would truly love is a destruction human faction. Like, I would love just primal people who just never... They didn't fall to the old gods and become chaos worshippers, but nor did they settle down and become forces of order. They're just like, nope, we're primal, we're tribal, we do whatever we want. That's what I would love. And, when I think about that, instantly my brain goes to like, oh, like a whole army of untamed beasts, which is pretty, the Chaos Warband unit is like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I want. maybe some like really crude catapults and stuff like that, but that's about it. So I don't know for sure, but I certainly hope so. Let's see. I'm bleeding and I only have a 5-up save. Oh, you hopefully have a reroll, my friend. Should I start Legions of Nagash or Lumineth? I hesitate to give a ton of advice like that just because I don't frankly know you and what you like to play that much. I will say that Lumineth models are newer and therefore probably have a longer shelf life in terms of being replaced. They're certainly more active in the lore right now, if that matters to you. What else? But Legions of Nagash has a model range that eclipses Lumineth. So if there's something you like there, that's the best bet you got to play it. So that's kind of my thought. If you're model driven, go whichever way your heart tells you. Let's see. Do you think a new Stormcast chamber will open in 2021? Yes. Probably. If not a new chamber, I don't know. I just imagine something big will happen. I don't really know why, but I just feel like they've learned enough from what works with 40K that I feel like if they did drop a new edition, for things like Crusade and maybe revamping Path to Glory and integrating it more to the books, like I definitely think they're getting primed for something cool. Because if you remember, so these Broken Realm books are very much like the Psychic Awakening books, and those narratively led up to the release of 9th edition for 40K. And I would not be surprised if over the next few months we had a whole bunch of Broken Realm books come out, and that ultimately led to the next edition of AOS. And that's nothing to be scared about. I know people get kind of apprehensive when they're like, oh, stuff gonna go away or things gonna be invalidated. It's like, nah, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the ride. That's all. That's what I tell people. Just enjoy the ride. Let's see. Do you think they'll ever make a free guild start collecting box? I certainly hope so. Because it's like the one It's like the one arm of the army that still has a full model range available to it that they don't have. Like, 'cause they have the dark elves and they have the dwarfs, but nothing for humans. And like, sure, there's wood elves, but there's not really enough of them to constitute a box. Whereas like the free guild's like a whole range. All right, let's see. The UK is shutting down. Chris Thiel, we are ready for shark power. Street sharks are back. Let's see. The Slaves to Darkness stuff is very, very cool. Yep. Jacob Foxley, apparently GW are going to be sticking to their release schedule, supposedly at least. Yeah, I don't... it's hard to tell, how much of that is accurate, because it's like... I know that if I was an international corporation, I would have sort of a contingency plan for if things got worse, meaning, they had to lock back down again. So maybe this is plan B and they're just like, yeah, we totally anticipated this. We're good to go. Our release schedule is super not affected. Or that could just be like absolute jargon. It's whatever. Honestly, now that you say it, caveman style destruction faction sounds dope. Saber riders, mammoths. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Solid call. Let's see. You think Nurgle will finally get endless spells somehow? I hope so. I put a video out. I mean, it's just theory crafting, but with all the different ideas I had for what endless spells for Nurgle could look like. I put that up last week, I think. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and hop into this last article here. And this is 3 more reasons to visit your Warhammer store. Now, this article, they make it very clear. It all depends on your local restrictions for meeting, with stores being open and that kind of stuff. It's just the way it is. First off, free model every single month. They're limited in quantity, but you just have to go up and ask the store manager, hey y'all, where's my free model? Basically. Hopefully do it nicer than that. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work. Like, if nothing else, it's a cool way to clear out some of those kits that they've probably had sitting in storage for forever. And like, on one hand, it sounds like, oh, they're just giving out models that they couldn't sell or something like that. On the flip side, having free models to test paint schemes and, practice things is, to me, extremely valuable, especially if they are GW models where you can get used to the GW specific aesthetic when it comes to like proportions and like the way that they do like hair. I have a picture like the Daughters of Cain up here, like learning how Games Workshop does their faces because they look different from other modeling companies. I think that's cool. There were some people complaining, not about the free model, but the other stuff we'll chat about. But yeah, I think it's pretty darn cool. Now, you can also earn collectible coins. Okay, let's see, where is it at? There was a description here. This beauty is the first one for your collection. Got a cool coin. I was told, each month you can claim your coin with qualifying spend of 60, 80, or $100. So it's £60, €80, $100. I think I got that right. Easily covered by a combat patrol. So if you spend $100 in a month, you get a free coin. Okay. Now there were some people complaining about that. I wish that they were available to buy separately. Like just to have as a thing, maybe like at the end of the month or something like that. But it is what it is. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not a collector guy. Like I've just never have been. And so I can understand the frustration if you are one of those folks who loves collecting things. But like the only item that's like this that I've ever seen that I was like, I want to own that thing was a set of Warhammer, objective markers. I have 6 of them. They have like, the nice numbered 1, 2, 3, or so on. That's the only thing I've ever been like that with. So it doesn't really appeal to me, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just go in and you drop some coin and I don't know. You can tell people it's from like Satanist Anonymous or something like that. If you're familiar, Alcoholics Anonymous gives you a coin depending on how long you've been sober. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I said, I'm not a collector. Let me know in the chat. Are you guys collectors at all? Yeah, so it'd be $960 a year. Yeah, I mean, so what? In US, it'd be $1,200, right? Theoretically, 1,200. Yeah, man. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, but it just doesn't appeal to me. That's my problem. Can I choose to not have the coin? Totally. I'm the same way. Actually, I am the same way. If I walked in and I was like, I want to start a new faction. I bought this, and this, and like, oh, Doug, you spent $101. You get your free coin. I'd be like, okay, but what do I do with this now? Because now I don't want to spend another $1,100 to be able to get the full set. I felt that. I felt that comment so hard. And then the last thing here. Let's see. Need to stock up on paints. And basically what they're doing is if you buy 10 paints, you get one free. Now, there were a lot of people complaining about like, I'll have your coin. You can have it. Alexander, you got it, buddy. So there are a lot of people complaining that like 10 paints is so expensive. Like it's not a value to get one for free. And, I'm not going to argue that. Value is kind of relative to people. I do like the fact that they, at least in this instance, they have all their different kinds of paints. So you have obviously texture paints right here with the technical, and there's like, I think that's Sterling Battlemeyer over there. Base metallics, contrast, shades. What I look at this as is like for your average, just popping into the game store and grabbing paints, this is not really a super value. However, I am somebody who, because I do these like army projects frequently, like, well, get an army, paint it all up and sell it. I'm somebody that like when I walk into the Games Workshop store for a new project, whether I bought the models there or not, I buy all the paints at once. So for example, right now I'm planning to do an Imperial Fists army for 40K because I want to start doing Crusade, and I just like the Imperial Fists. I've always wanted to paint a yellow army just to challenge myself. And so I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, so I would buy Avalorn Sunset, Cassanjora Yellow, the different kinds of yellow highlights. I would probably grab another Abaddon Black because I'm low on that. You know what I mean? Like I can put together 10 paints when I'm doing a big project. Again, is it for every day? Is it a good value for every day just popping in your store? Probably not. But that's about it. So that is what it is. So let me scroll down here, and that's it too. Now the last little note here, and for all the criticisms that people have, again, all of these things are, I think with the exception of the free model, they're all very relative. I can't imagine someone turning down free stuff, but whatever. The rest of it, I understand that there's a lot of hesitation about. I do like that they're saying they are now planning lockdown into their thing. So basically, say you're in lockdown this month and you can't go to your Games Workshop store to, make your regular purchases and get your coin. Then next month you'll have 2 coins available and you'll be able to make those purchases and get those coins back. So I think that's cool. It is what it is. Yep, Jim says flip it. Yep, just keep buying a bunch of paints, get your free one and sell them online and flip it. I mean, it could, honestly, if you and a friend, and this is another thing, if you and a friend go in on a box set, like let's say you're both like, oh, I want to start a Daughters of Cain army, and the other guy's like, I want to start a Slaanesh army, we're going to get that, Pain and Shadow box or whatever it's called. All of a sudden, if you're splitting that, you might as well split this and get someone a free paint, because this is like, why not? Let's see. I might just buy lots of things at once to get the coin. Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, all of these things, they are much more rewarding. First of all, if you obviously have a local store, which I do not anymore. It is a hour, 45-minute drive to my next GW store here in Iowa. And that's kind of a bummer. It is what it is. But if you are playing an existing faction where you're like, I'm not looking at getting a whole bunch of brand new stuff later on. I just want to like stock up for my army, that already exists. Like I play Maggotkin of Nurgle. I could go in there. I can find $100 worth of Maggotkin and Nurgle stuff. It's literally 2 boxes of Blight Lords or Blight Kings or whatever they're called. You know what I mean? And get your coin in that. You can budget those things. I think it's much harder if, for example, like, we had in the chat a few times, I'm excited for Malarian and Shadow Elves. It's like, we don't know what that looks like, when it's coming out. Do you want to spend $100 every month to get this coin up until that point and then have to drop how much money on the army? So, it is what it is. I think it's much easier on people who... The coin specifically, I feel like, is much easier on people who already have existing armies where you can budget regular purchases to expand your collection. Whereas the mixing stuff, I feel like, is really rewarding for folks who walk in and just want to start a new project. That's kind of what I would say. Yep, Jim says, wait, you're in Iowa? Yep. I'm right between Iowa City and Cedar Rapids, my friend. Catch the fever. So, yeah, that's, let's see, question. Do you think it would be based on purchase? Just drop in. Additionally, this is a great way to help people flesh out Kill Team and Warcry lists. Kill Team and War... Oh, yeah. If you can get a free mile. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. If you can get a new model and just pop it into your army. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Zosie's at my local store, less than 5 minutes. Man, back where at my last place, just outside Seattle, I had a Games Workshop with a great manager, Matt, about 5 minutes away. Really, really enjoyed it. I'll miss him. Yes, Marissa Satir, yes, the new article that just came up. I'm not going to read it because it did say like there's spoilers, and I want to reveal the story arc with my lore videos next week. But if you are interested in spoilers about the nature of Morathi and what changes in Shattered Realms Morathi, go ahead and check that article out. So yeah. Let's see. I literally just finished painting my Steelhearts Champions with the stream. Keen to use them for an Underworlds game and to incorporate them into your Stormcast army. Yeah. That's awesome. Congrats, dude. Let's see. I'm going to pull up the Broken Realms website. I want to see what they got going on over there. Give me just a hot sec here. Oh wow, their website is not intuitive at all. Okay, 1 second here. All right, questions. Let's see. What's next on your painting table, Doug? Oh. Okay, so next up for me, I actually have 2 projects that I'm going to be doing. One is going to be a Slaves to Darkness army. If you followed me for a bit, I had a bunch of the older Slaves to Darkness without giving any spoilers whatsoever. The stuff in Broken Realms allows me to play the kind of list that I want, if I'm honest with you, like a very thematic and yet still does what it needs to do kind of army. So I'm very excited about that. I am looking at selling off my custom converted Maggotkin and doing the same thing for Slaves to Darkness. So that'll fund that project. So that's for AOS. Now for 40K, like I said before, I am looking to do a what is it? A Imperial Fists army. Back to the STD. Always come back to the STD. Okay. It's not country, it's just language. All right. Let's see. Are there games this Warhammer Day or just painting? I believe probably painting for right now. Just printed the last 6 hostile minis for Blackstone Fortress. I'm pretty hyped. Nice. Are you going to keep the nautical theme? Oh, for the Slaves to Darkness? I don't think so. I think I have something else in mind, but it'll be cool. All right, so we're here at the, let's see, the factions. I'm just going to take a look at these box sets here. Okay, yeah, so they have pictures of what comes in them. Okay, I understand now. I am smelling what you're stepping in. Okay, so yeah, if this is the core set, that would be the Witch on Black Dragon, and then what is it, like 2 boxes of basic dudes? I mean, the Dread Spears and the Crossbow Boys, you need so many. You need so many to make those units so good. But that's cool. You couldn't live with your own failure, and where does that bring you? Back to me, your new Chaos Lord, probably. Let's see. Okay, yeah, and here's the Van Brecht one. So we have, yeah, Judicators. Looks like 2 units of Judicator. That's a pretty good value. Thing of Castigators and all the Gryph-hounds you could ever want and more. Let's see. Yep, yeah, in this one. So they pretty much spell it out here, but in the rules update, you basically, one of these guys can be like a named character kind of a thing. It's a little bit different that I won't go into in detail here, but essentially you can recreate, because Gresh, who's the Chaos Champion, he's a dude on a chariot. So that is what he is. And that's not a spoiler at all. They write it right here. But yeah, also, I've never seen this particular symbol for Chaos Forces before, but I like it. Cool little 4-starred key. It's cool. Are the new boxes like start collecting boxes? Jamie, not quite. So these are small sets that are not intended to kind of get you into the game, but more are, hey, if you read the Broken Realms Morathi book and you liked those heroes or that story or that design for an army, you can buy this one box and kind of get all the things that really kind of like speak to that story. So like we'll go to, okay, we'll pick on this guy because I like him. The hero in the story is a dude, Chaos Lord, on a chariot. And he has a chariot party with him, which is these other 2 guys. And so, this is not enough to start a Slaves to Darkness army. However, it's a great addition if you already own a Slaves to Darkness army and you're looking to get some sets to kind of recreate specifically what's in the story. So that's how I would. Narrative booster sets. That's a great way to put it, Donald. You nailed it. And there also is a bunch of lore and that kind of stuff. If you weren't around for Malign Portents, it was sort of like a lead up to to Soul Wars, really, the current age that we're in until this book drops. They had a whole bunch of short stories. The timeline is fantastic. Let's see. First Blow, Realm Gate Wars. Man, these are awesome. And they went into way more detail than I expected them to. Endgate, Genesis Gate. Nice. Oh, okay. The Malign Portent site is still up. For some reason, I thought someone told me they took it down. Am I just wrong? Core rules, the app. Someone told me that they took all the stories down. Do I have to read all the other books to read this? No. No, I can tell you that much. I don't know where I put the tab, but they showed like the contents of the book, like the chapter by chapter breakdown thing. And I will tell you that the first thing you read really does a pretty good job of introducing all the events of AOS and getting you kind of caught up. So I don't think so. And I'll do videos to kind of set that up as well. So let's see. How long we've been going? Current viewer. Okay. Well, friends, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, about the 50-minute mark. But I just wanted to kind of put a little something out there and test the stream. Now, the background will be looking much more professional here in a little bit once I get everything set up. Obviously, there's going to be cool lights and that kind of stuff in the background. And once I get a light canceling curtain over this window, things will look a little bit better. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much for your patience as I was traveling. I'm going to have a new video out on Saturday going over some really cool things, as well as all lore videos next week concerning the fate of the Mortal Realms. And so I hope that you'll join me for that. I'm also going to be doing some more hobby hangouts and paintings and things like that. I'm still in the middle of unpacking, like what you see is pretty much the only thing that's unpacked. And so I'm still kind of working at that. So it won't be quite full steam yet. However, that will come very, very soon. And I hope that y'all join me for that. So how does Central Standard Time feel? Good. Okay, we got some questions here. Let's see. It's awesome. Glad you've arrived. Looking forward to your new stuff. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'll go ahead and hop off for the day right now. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me today and making sure everything works. And I'll catch you next time in my next video. Happy wargaming.